45 obstructed justice and says he cannot be exonerated. Basically, the summary of Robert Mueller's report given to Congress by Attorney General William Barr asserts that 45 engaged in a number of actions that raised obstruction of justice concerns. At the same time, it concluded that 45's campaign did not criminally conspire with Russia during the 2016 campaign. Barr seizes upon the latter point, no criminal collusion, to dismiss the former point. While Mueller punted on whether 45 broke the law, Barr decided to deem his conduct not a crime. The absence of such evidence bears upon the squatter's intent with respect to obstruction, writes Barr. The underlying crime, he argues, means no obstruction. Barr's logic is upside down. He is saying the finding of no criminal collusion undermines the findings that 45 obstructed justice. In fact, obstruction undermines the findings of no criminal collusion. Mueller has apparently found no criminal collusion between 45 and Russia, a finding that is hardly shocking. As 45 defenders have pointed out, collusion is not a crime, which it technically should be, but they don't have it as one. There are crimes that fall under the category of collusion. Many former prosecutors have theorized that Mueller could not indict 45 or his campaign under a conspiracy charge. Mueller did not find sufficient enough or even strong enough evidence to prove in a court of law, and possibly not at all. It is bizarre, however, to spend 2 years insisting collusion is not a crime and then turn around and call the absence of crimes proof that there was no collusion. Of course, 45 colluded with Russia. He literally went on camera and asked Russia to hack Hillary Clinton's emails, promising that Russia will be rewarded by the American media, and Russia responded to this request by attempting a hack to steal Clinton's emails that very day. 45's campaign aides repeatedly welcomed and sought out Russian assistance. His campaign manager passed on 75 pages of intricate polling data to a Russian operative during the campaign, and he did all this while secretly pursuing a lucrative business deal with Russia. To define this nexus of communication and shared mission as something other than a collusion is to define the term in a way that nobody would have accepted before the scandal began. The person who wrote this article, the unanswered questions here center on how much deeper this cooperation goes and what laws might have been tripped. Apparently, the answer is none, and there is no reason to doubt either Mueller's findings. He found no criminal collusion, nor Barr's unequivocal summary. However, the notion that the lack of evidence absolves 45 cannot possibly be squared with the steps he has taken to obstruct justice. Barr's summary does not detail all the obstruction or perhaps obstruction-like steps 45 has taken, but it does not many took place in public. The most damning was his repeated encouragement of his campaign lieutenants not to cooperate with Mueller's investigation. His lawyer reportedly dangled pardons for Michael Flynn and Paul Manafort, and there is almost no doubt the prospect of pardoning the dumbass Roger Stone to stay strong. People who want to demonstrate their innocence make displays of cooperation with investigators. They promise to tell them everything they know and encourage their subordinates to do the same. 45 did the opposite. He refused to give the special counsel an interview. He used his pardon power to encourage his subordinates to withhold cooperation. This behavior obviously does not prove that Stone and Manafort implicated their former boss. It might have been a successful cover-up, or it might have been behavior that looked like a cover-up, yet lacked an underlying offense. The point is that his flamboyant refusal to cooperate deprives 45 of any claim to having been cleared. As 45 stated repeatedly, he considers obstruction of justice just a term to describe fighting back. 45 hired Barr for the role after Barr wrote a private memo attacking the obstruction of justice component of the Mueller investigation, and discussed the memo with 45 before his nomination. Now Barr has followed through on the position that he laid out and which apparently recommended him for the job. Congress obviously cannot take Barr's summary of Mueller's findings as the final word, and people will demand to see the entire thing. By 45's own terms, and apparently Barr's, he thinks he won and fought. He thinks he fought back and won, which he didn't. That, however, is not the same as being exonerated. In fact, it precludes it. Now, the one thing I don't agree with Barr on is that every Republican who's ever been investigated by Barr has been exonerated, and I don't agree with that.